For the Monday, September 12, 2016 meeting. I'd like to note for the record that this meeting is being webcast, and we have with us today two new directors of the board, Lee Perlman and George Zunis. George, nice to see you again, and Lee, very much welcome. The directors have received the written materials in advance of today's meeting, and they are free to ask questions at any time. Please note that we welcome public comments on any of the items on the following agenda. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each, and those representing groups may speak for up to 4 minutes with one speaker per group. Speakers' comments may address only items considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I would like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I would ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We will then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. I will be recusing myself from the last item, which is the financial advisors and underwriters, as I do lots of business with virtually everyone on the list. So it would be a good idea for me not to be involved in that vote. Additionally, in the event the meeting runs late, Michael Carey has graciously accepted the role of adjourning the meeting in my stead, so well done, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other conflicts or recusals? If not, our first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the directors' meeting of July 18th. Any questions, corrections, revisions? If not, we'll deem them approved. And then we'll move on to...
We need a motion, sir?
Yes, I guess technically, yes, please.
All right, I'll move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you very much. That's why Michael is so good at his job. All right, moving right along, we'd like to ask Sarah, President of the corporation, to present the next item on today's agenda, which is for the establishment of a committee on the board of directors and an appointment of directors. Sarah, when you're ready.
Great. Thank you very much, Henry. And welcome to the two new directors we have today. We're thrilled. And also welcome to our new CFO, Elaine Kloss, in case you haven't met her. We are thrilled to have her on board. Before we move to the first board item, would it be okay if I do a short president's report?
I would think that would be wonderful.
Great. Okay, wonderful. We are really excited about where we are with the expansion project, and I figured I would just start with a short recap of what's going on since the last time we met. As you all know from approving their contract, Tishman is fully on board and mobilized as a construction manager. We've been meeting weekly with them on site together with CCOC to kick off the early first phase of the construction work, which encompasses the transformer yard elevation and construction of a utility building there. As you're going to hear about more formally in our items, DASNY is engaged as the permitting agency on this work. We've also been meeting weekly with DASNY. That's been a very smooth process that we've been very pleased about. So we'll talk in a little bit about the MOU we have with DASNY. And we are tracking to get our deep foundation permit later this fall. So we're on schedule to hit our target of getting in the ground this year. Glenn, I've asked Glenn, who's leading this project from Tishman, to do a very short PowerPoint. Sometimes it's good to have a visual, and I wanted all of you to see where it's not the sexiest of the expansion project. You'll get more down the road as we move into the design build, but just to know what is going in the ground there. It's about $75 million in hard cost. Obviously that'll move, and we'll update you as we move ahead with the procurement. So in 2 minutes, I'll ask Glenn to do that. And then in addition to the transformer yard building, we also will be relocating a water main, as we've talked about. So right now, with regard to the procurement, we have 5 RFPs that have gone out. The first 2 technically, and maybe the other 3 are hitting the street today in the contract reporter. One is for structural steel, another is for caissons and foundational work, and then 3 smaller ones for sidewalk, bridges, and hoisting, the water work, the water relocation, and demolition. Thank you, Goldie. So a huge thank you to Goldie from our legal team for all of her help on that to get those out, and it's a really exciting position to be in to actually be moving ahead with that. So before we turn to Glenn, just a couple more points on the early work. We did do some geotech studies, both for the purpose of the transformer yard and information that we will supply to the design build teams. That's very important for them as they put together their foundation design. That has been complete. And we continue to work with Port Authority as they have very critical assets underneath Javits. They have their 3 tubes of the Lincoln Tunnel and then 2 vent shafts. So we've been working very, very closely with Port Authority to make sure that whatever we are doing is approved by them and we don't have any holdup between the 2 agencies. And that's been a very successful partnership to date that's taken a lot of coordination on both sides. One point on Port Authority is in our advancement of the design, we recognize that they will need a new curb cut and to give fire access to their vent shaft. So that's a piece that we will at some point come back to talk about with the board insofar as we'll ask Tishman to move ahead with that small piece of extra work. Right at that point yet, but it's coming. And then I think that's all I had to say. Does anyone have any questions before I have Glenn give you an overview, a couple slides on the early? Great.
Okay.
Over to you. You can.
I think we overlap a little bit here. I have to turn the projector.
Watch your eyes.
Sorry. Yeah.
That work. The other thing.
Thank you.
Oh, there.
It was
Thank
on.
you.
It was on.
Good.
Not that.
Okay. Let's see, we're on this page now. Hey, we'll go dark. I can't see much. Right, clicker, or do you have a, or just? Okay. This is an overview of the again an aerial shot. Good thing our
Do you have a
satellites are
point?
flying around. I know I don't have a pointer with me.
If you want, you go over there and I'll click for you.
Okay.
You just say slide and I'll do it.
So this is an aerial shot of the center 12th Avenue, of course, to the left here. And this is the transformer yard that we'll be working over. Of course, as you can see from there, it's in a very tight location. We have the 2 ramps, which is kind of the lifeblood for the convention center to feed the upper and lower levels of the convention center. They actually be built over that. So the whole plan is to keep operation, of course, until we have the new transformer yard going and the power from there. So just placement of where that's going to be. And of course, North Pavilion to the north, convention center. Basically, expansion of the whole facility is coming from here, going to 40th Street, and then from 11th to 12th. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the lower level. This is the first level of this transformer yard building, we call it. I've been kind of nicknaming it the Tower of Power because it's got a lot in here. So this lower level is actually where the transformer yard sits now. So this will not be built until we put the new transformers and equipment up and have it up and running, and then we can come back and demolish the existing transformer yard. So time frame for this is out at the end of the job, going into third quarter 2018 into early 2019 to finish this lower level. But it's fuel tanks, and which feeds the generators, and a fire pump, which is existing there now. Okay, next slide. So now we go up to the second level. This is where the generators sit and the transfer switches. 3 large generators, which is enough power to run the facility. So if there's an outage during shows and a full show, you'll have the power here to run the facility. And that's the capability we have in there. There's also going to be the life safety generator. There was one existing that goes up here also. So there's a second life safety generator that goes in here for the whole building. This will be enough power, of course, for the new facility for the expansion also.
When you say run the facility, do you mean show power as well as building
Yes.
needs?
Yes.
Complete
Complete.
operation.
Yeah. So during a show, if there is an outage, they can power up from here and the show still going on. Okay, next slide. Next level up is the transformers themselves. These are outside transformer units. There's 6 of them sitting out over here, replacing the existing yard that was below. The switch gears, primary and secondary switch gears are up in this room. And this actually will be open. It's an outside external units. So if you go to the next level, you'll see the next slide, I'm sorry. You'll see the grading here. This is grading around here with an open thing. Open. The rest of the roof is mechanical units. It's a lot of ventilation, a lot of equipment, a lot of heat coming off the electrical. So it's large plenum, a lot of HVAC. Next slide. I think we have some couple slides of the roof, and I'll go to the siding. The siding right now, what we're going to do under this phase is put up basically the whole building will be enclosed. So it's fully sprinkler, lighting, life safety, everything else. It's considered like a standalone building. These panels are precast concrete panels with insulated panels that'll go up. And then the design build contractor will come and clad it to match the siding and their theme for the whole building. So this will be functional, operational. They'll come in and clad. This is on the west elevation. This is 12th Avenue. There's new planks, also a new wall going on 12th Avenue to separate it. On the other side, the elevation, you can kind of see the ramps which come through. So the existing ramps will be under that first level, so all trucks will go underneath there. So it's a tight coordination. Next slide, I think there's more shots of the outside. So here again, this is the opening where the trucks and the traffic will be coming through the facility. There's a temporary stair on the outside and one on the other side. You have to have 2 means of egress. There's 2 temporary stairs. Once it's tied into the new facility for the design build, those temporary stairs come out. Next slide. And that's the other stair on the other side. So this is a view from looking from the south. Looking south, basically from the north looking south. Up on the roof there, we're building here, because since this roof will be visible from the ballroom and the outside space, there's putting up like a live screen. It's like a louver systems with the vegetation, so it blocks off all the heavy equipment, everything you see below. So there's just a couple slides on that. That's up on top, just to give you a feel of what's that. The transformers and everything else are over here, which would be outside with the grading on top of it. And that's just looking down. Couple shots there. Okay, I think some of these, Sarah kind of touched on. Pre-construction activities, working with DASNY, that's gone very well, as Sarah said. They've been very helpful. Things are moving along very well with that. We do have pretty much the permit for the foundations. It's just a final documents goes to them, and then some other paperwork filing, so it's something that should be within the next month in hand. We've been developing the project schedule. I'll talk a little bit about that next slide. Completed the geotech investigations for the transformer yard. That report has gone to the Port Authority. It has gone to DASNY, which needs to finalize that permitting. And the second report, which is going to design build contractors, will be out this week as an addendum to that package. So that's gone well with all the geotech. Nothing unusual came out of the investigation that went on for the last couple months here. So we're pretty much in line with what the initial reports were. So no surprises out of that. And we're working on the bid package that Sarah talked about. So the early bid package. So there's 5 out, I think, in the next slide. So just project schedule, talking briefly about project schedule. Construction start December 2016. Structure and building enclosed October 2017. That's all the steel up. It's a structural steel. It's a very long. It's 80 feet spanning over the 2 tunnels. The caissons had to fit in between the tunnels, so there's only 6 caissons that'll support this whole structure. And then it's 75 feet going across by 180 feet the other way. So the long span, there's actually beam every 5 feet. So it's a very robust structural system on 48-inch caissons, which go down into rock, into foundation. So there's a lot of close work with there in between the tunnels. So again, working with the Port Authority, as Sarah mentioned earlier, we've had a lot of meetings. They're on board with the location of the caissons. They've been on board with the geotech. They've been at each step of the way. We've been keeping them up to date on everything. So there shouldn't be any issues or hiccups as we go into the next phase. We have to set up tunnel monitoring. We have to do a tunnel inspection. So all this will be going on the months before we start in December and have that in place. Swing over power is in October 2018. Once the building is up, we have about a year in there to get all the equipment online, get the equipment in place, get all the power, a lot of electrical work and everything to set up. There's about 3 or 4 months with Con Ed to do the swing over. We're going to power this up with the existing power lines that are over there. We had to build some new demarc for the Con Ed to tie into their units to get in and out. So there's a couple phases with doing the electrical, and we'll get it online with the existing power, and then there's a second power which will come in, which will tie in from 11th and 12th Avenue. And the design builder is going to put the service from 11th Avenue, 12th Avenue will be done on our side. The one from 11th Avenue needs to go into their package because we don't know what their design is right now. So that's left for them to tie that in. So once they come on board, they tie in, we can do the final connection. Then we have to go over and demo the yard below. As I spoke about, the existing transformer yard, that gets demoed. We put the new tanks in there, and then that brings us to April 2019. During this whole phase in there, it'll be a coordination between the design build and us. We're off in that corner. You know, if you go look back, recall that first slide, we're off in that corner as the first area. So the intent is that once we get the structure up, which is the frames and get the main equipment in, we'll be contained off to that other area and keep away from the design build activities. And most of our work at that point must be inside the building and then tying back to the existing facility.
The furnishing of the equipment is in this contract?
Yes.
Or is it going to be pre-purchased?
It'll be we're doing pre-purchase contracts, and then it'll be given to the next,
Just given to
the electrical contracts or whatever contracts. Yeah, there's the generators. There'll be 3 pre-purchase equipment: generators, transformers, and then the fire pump also is going to be pre-purchased. Okay, next slide. I guess the geotag, I pretty much spoke about this. We're on set with this. And bid packages, these are the 5 bid packages which Sarah mentioned before. I didn't realize the one is going out this week. I saw Goldie in the lobby downstairs, so that's good. We got the 5 out, so we're up and running with that. And I think that concludes it.
Perfect.
One question, security. When you have a building in which you have a significant amount of diesel fuel to run the generators, I know if David and Emil would be here, they would ask you, what are we doing about it to protect ourselves? What's the security?
Well, the security plan for this building, and actually during the construction and everything else that we're doing is, of course, the secured site. We're working with the Javits Convention Center, so it's their, it'll really be their security of the whole facility at the end of the day during construction. Of course, we'll have security set up during construction. It'll be enclosed in the whole facility, so there'll be the Javits security.
So Alan's going to be there with his sheriff's badge?
So I'll also answer your question, and it's a segue because Alan can mention very quickly, we're going to make him, well, I'll let Alan, so in answer on the security, first, I think David is actually on the line, who has raised this. We've been working very closely with CCOC, really with Alan taking the lead on security in general, both during construction and then post-completion. And our intention is to come back to the board once we've finalized our plan and our study. It's obviously of critical importance to Port Authority with assets nearby too. So we're working through that. We'll come back, but it is a segue into an update Alan has from OC side.
One of our objectives in security will be to ensure we have a very secure perimeter. Right now, the entrance that we have on 12th Avenue at 39th Street is not as secure as we'd like it to be. One of the reasons being that we do truck check-in inside the perimeter of the facility. So when someone's coming in to deliver, they come into the facility to check in. We're actually relocating that check-in so that they will check in on the exterior of the building before they enter it. So there will actually be a little more to the project that we'll come back and talk to you about a little later. But essentially the idea will be that Javits Operating Corporation will have a secure perimeter and will ensure the integrity of all of the equipment and the any fuel operations that are within it.
To just state the obvious, are you guys in collaboration with the NYPD on an ongoing
Yes.
basis?
NYPD, Department of Homeland Security. I mean, we're in contact with everyone.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Hi, Alan and Sarah. I am on the phone. I've been listening, but since I'm not there, I'll just listen.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so wrapping up my just general remarks, quick overview of where we are in the design build procurement. In July, we met with our newly formed program committee or project committee, during which we gave an overview of the indicative design and talked through the program requirements. We're going to formally establish that committee later in today's meeting, but we appreciate your insights. We're very excited to continue working with you and to move that forward. The bidders have been hard at work advancing their own design. As this is design build, we have seen a lot of innovation coming out of the project, out of this process. We have a due date of October 31st, so they are really working very, very hard to get as much done as possible. I guess the last point is that sometime in the next couple of months, we will come back to the board for an owner's rep, construction management role, some ongoing support once we've selected the design builder. So that's just something to keep an eye on as a next step. Does anyone have further questions on the design build process before we move into the formal agenda?
Okay, seeing none, I think the first item, Sarah, is any action, right?
Yes. So the first item is the approval of the establishment of a new subcommittee on the program and design of the expansion project. As I mentioned, we had already met once. The members, this is a non-voting committee that will assist CCDC in the implementation of work in connection with the expansion project. The committee members are Michael Carey, David Emile, Jeff Little, and Vincent Iannelli. And they will eventually report back to the full board on their work and on the program. And with that, I seek your approval for the establishment of this subcommittee.
Any questions or comments from either the director or the public? If not, may we have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Second? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Sarah, you now, you did present your presentation, I guess, right?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yes or no?
I did, yes.
You did, okay. So the next item is authorization to amend the contract with Javits to Architecture LLC. This will be the 9th Amendment to correct for deletion of civil engineering services, authorization to take related actions.
Thank you. So this second item is really a housekeeping item. As you all know, J2A has been the architect of record up until now, and we pivoted earlier this year to having them complete the bridging documents, the indicative design and program requirements. And as part of that change, at that point, we took Langen Engineering out from under them as a sub-consultant to do, Langen does both civil and geotech engineering. Geotech in the market is not something that is typically underneath an architect's contract. So we pulled Langen out from the J2A contract. Inadvertently, we pulled out the civil scope. So we obviously need that scope, and we've realized the mistake, and we'd like to add that back in. It's about $515,000 in value that we would add back to the J2A contract to cover the civil engineering.
Questions or comments from either the public or the board? If not, do we have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Sarah, the next item is the authorization to request that DASNY, as a construction permitting agency, enter into a memorandum of understanding with DASNY. Sarah, when you're ready.
Great, thank you. So today we're also seeking authorization to request that DASNY act as the permitting agency for the expansion project, and we're also seeking director's approvals to enter into an MOU with DASNY for this permitting and other services. The state recently passed legislation that allows DASNY, upon request from CCDC, to act as the construction permitting agency in connection with the design, construction, and commissioning of the expansion project, according to New York City Building Code. DASNY has committed dedicated staff to the project and is also prepared to assign personnel to assist with the design build aspects of the project. The estimated fees for these services that we will be responsible for are approximately $5 million, and to take into account any potential cost escalations or any variances that would require us to go to Department of State, we're asking for approval not to exceed $6 million. So with that, I will seek approval.
Do we have a motion, please? Are there any questions, I should say, or from the public? If not, motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Just a quick thank you to Eunice, who has done a not insignificant amount of work to get us over the finish line on that. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the authorization to purchase onerous protective professional indemnity insurance. Sarah?
Great. This item is also tied to the DASNY MOU insofar as DASNY is requiring CCDC to procure this owner's protective professional indemnity, which I will now call OPPI because it's a mouthful. The OPPI will cover DASNY to insure against any liabilities associated with professional services that they're providing under the MOU. I should say it'll cover CCDC and DASNY. And this will be in lieu of CCDC's indemnifying DASNY and beyond any indemnification that CCDC already receives from New York State. We're currently working with the Kevel agency, who's our insurance advisor, and also with Willis, our insurance broker, to find the best option in the market at a competitive price. So we have not procured this yet. This is something we're in the process of finding and nailing down. But we're coming to you today to seek board approval to buy this OPPI for a price not to exceed $950,000. That will allow us to move ahead with our MOU with DASNY.
Any questions or comments from the public or the board? If not, then we have a motion for approval, please.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, the last item, which I will, please note that I'm recusing myself from, is the judgment by Rob Godley, who will lead it about authorization to approve a rotating team of underwriters and financial advisors. Rob?
Thank you and good morning. This item is to request that the CCDC board adopt a slate of underwriters and financial advisors that ESD's board approved on August 18, 2016. Other ESD subsidiaries will be asked to approve the same slate of underwriters and financial advisors. In April of this year, ESD issued an RFP seeking firms to serve in these capacities. The RFP was advertised in the New York State Contract Reporter and the Bond Buyer, was also posted on ESD's website, and was emailed to over 150 representatives of 52 firms. The responses were evaluated by a team that included ESD's Treasury, Portfolio Management, Legal, Office of Contractor and Supplier Diversity. The evaluation criteria are described in your board material. Based on the team's evaluation, the board is being asked to adopt a slate of 13 senior managers, 23 co-managers, 4 financial advisors for a period of 2 years. It is also requested that the board grant authority to CCDC's president or treasurer to extend the term for up to another 2 years maximum, so as to be coterminous with the ESD slate. The names of the proposed firms are detailed in your board material. Thank you.
Okay, do we vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, may I have a motion for approval, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All approved? Excuse me, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I think that's it, Sarah. So the next item is a motion to adjourn. May I have a motion, please?
Yes. After you do that, I was going to ask Rob to do just an update on the bond, where we are with the bond issuance.
Okay, so let's adjourn first, and then we can do that. Rob can make that presentation. Motion for adjournment, please. First, excuse me, Rob, I've been corrected.
Okay.
First, so it's on the record, so it's on the public record, and then we'll adjourn.
All right. As the board has been made aware, over the past few meetings, we're working on issuing another CCDC bond to help fund the further expansion and renovation of the Javits Center. What we did is we looked at the existing bond that is out there, and this bond, as you know, is backed by a $1.50 a night hotel unit fee. We looked at the restrictions and the constraints that we have in that bond document, and we were able to come up with a bond offering that is going to be a senior lien and a subordinated lien bond. The senior lien, we're expecting to raise about $196 million. The subordinated lien bond, we're expecting to raise $230 million. The senior lien is rated AA3, and the subordinated lien is rated A2. Last August, when we refunded the CCDC bond, we got a true interest cost, an all-in true interest cost on that bond of 3.85. We're expecting that the bond that we're offering now to come in below that 3.85. We are in the market today for a retail order period, and that retail order period will go today from until 4 o'clock, and then tomorrow from 10 o'clock to noon we will sell the remaining portion of the bonds to the institutional market. And as we've done with the past bond offerings, once we have the final pricing, we will email the board and let the board know how we did with the bond offering. So all in, we're trying to raise approximately $425 million for the expansion and renovation.
Is that additional debt, or are we refunding the current?
No, this will be additional debt.
Additional, okay.
Yep.
You don't need a motion on that, or
No.
Okay. So we are now becoming a highly levered institution. You see Alan shrinking in front of your eyes?
No, Alan is thrilled. I was going to say, don't spend it all.
Actually salivating at the moment. So.
So
All the things that we needed to do that we're now going to be able to do.
That's great.
a huge thank you to Rob and team. They've worked
Well
really,
done.
really hard on this.
Well
and
done.
we're
And
Thank you.
welcome to our new CFO.
Thank you.
If there's no other item, we stand adjourned.
Thank you all.